Hey folks, welcome back. We're going to do part 2 right now, part deux as it were, and we're going to discuss or continue to discuss how to deal with narcissists and with sociopaths. And as I mentioned before, this is a set of skills that is so important to have in your back pocket. It is so important to have in your tool belt. It does matter. Diagnosis isn't necessary, but knowledge that you're dealing with a toxic, disordered, cluster B, psychopath, sociopath, or narcissist matters. It does. I have definitely heard the layperson say that this doesn't matter. You know, toxic people are toxic people. Au contraire, mon frere, that is not true. So please stick with me, kids, and you will learn my Yoda-like ways on dealing with narcissists and sociopaths. Fun times, right? But seriously, it is an important skill set to have. And interestingly enough, dealing with narcissists and sociopaths and disordered folks alike is very similar to dealing with a toddler who's throwing a tantrum. Imagine that. So if you're good with kids, you may well be good with dealing with a toxic individual. Right? We don't take a child's tantrum personally. We don't take a child begging for the game they want personally. We understand that they're a child, they don't function like adults, and that, this is how we need to deal with them. We don't take it personally, and we move on. So I really encourage all of you to do the same with sociopaths, narcissists, and other cluster B disordered individuals, and really toxic people of all backgrounds and all types in your life in general. Now, I'm not saying to start treating with everybody with a lack of respect, but I'm saying that if somebody really does check a lot of the items on the diagnostic and statistical criteria for these disorders, that it may be time to start refocusing and revamping your efforts to effectively deal with them when you have to. So, that being said, I'm going to move to the point that I was just discussing during part 1 of this segment. And we're going to just kind of retract that ground that we've already covered, but not for too long. So, like we were talking about, narcissists and sociopaths to an extent can be made to go into retreat, to go back to their cave, to lick their wounds and curl up and kind of leave us alone for a while. So you or I, like I said, would be just ecstatic if Melissa McCarthy played us on Saturday Night Live. We wouldn't be offended. We wouldn't be angry. We wouldn't spout vitriol. We would say, oh my gosh, that was really funny. And how nice it is that she, chose to impersonate me. That's pretty cool. You'd probably want to tell her thanks and congratulations and let her know that you appreciate the spirit in which it was intended, right? You're not going to go bitch nuclear and say that she's defaming you and send her a cease and desist letter from your lawyer's office. You're going to be, oh my gosh, how cool, Melissa McCarthy was playing me. So that's the difference between a normally functioning individual and somebody who is on the narcissistic spectrum or the sociopathic or the psychopathic spectrum. We did discuss the minor but important differences between sociopathy and psychopathy in part 1 of this segment, so please refer to that if you need to. I do apologize for my spider fright at the beginning of the show. If a huge spider dropped down outside of the window right next to you, you'd probably freak out too if you're a total pussy like me. But, I apologize for that. So feel free to fast forward about 30 seconds into the show if you're going to turn it on. And if you are also an arachnophobe, feel free to listen and appreciate if you would like. So, like I say, the narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths can't make fun of themselves. They can't joke about something they just did, like a ridiculous reaction to a spider. They can't joke about, that funny time when Melissa McCarthy played them on Saturday Night Live. They are incapable of doing that. They can't stand the rest of the room or the rest of the audience or the rest of the people around them going on about their business, going on about their day, rather than focusing on them in a positive light or focusing on them as a victim. So here's one of my suggestions. Now, this might seem impolite to those of us who are uninitiated into, how to deal with these toxic individuals, but please bear with me. Okay. When they're talking, and you're in a room full of people, or there is a small group of people around, yawn. Make sure they see it, not the people around you, the psychopath, sociopath, or narcissist. Make sure they see it. No, you don't want to do a super exaggerated yawn and appear to be extremely rude. Just yawn so that they see it. I guarantee you this will affect them psychologically like it wouldn't affect a normal person. Yawn. Look at your watch. Snicker quietly to yourself. Snicker quietly to yourself. Again, not so much that it would seem rude to those around you. Certainly not if you're in like an important work meeting or discussing a really serious topic. But these are tactics that will absolutely disarm and possibly send into a total, narcissistic rage or meltdown a narcissist or a sociopath. So again, if it's appropriate, if you feel it's appropriate or that you can get away with it, snicker quietly. Look at your watch. Look at your phone. Text somebody. Make sure you're smiling at the phone or laughing at the phone while they're up there speaking. This isn't going to work so well in like a meeting environment, but let's say you're watching somebody speak to a group of people and you're in the audience. Let's say that you are in a group of people in a social setting and they're there. Doing this will absolutely kill them. Again, it wouldn't have much of an impact on you or I. You might think the person was being a little bit rude, but you really wouldn't think much about it. This will have a huge impact on a narcissist or a sociopath. So look at your watch. Snicker quietly, not rudely, not loudly. Kind of look at them and give a little smile or shake your head a little bit or kind of give them that look of, embarrassment, like, oh, I can't believe they just said that. This will really mess with them. I've actually been this audience member myself when I've been watching a narcissist talk and this person started slurring their words. They started using the wrong words. They started saying things that didn't make sense. Their face was turning red. They couldn't stand it. They could not stand it. Now, if you or I were up there talking to a group of people and somebody in the audience did something like that, we probably wouldn't notice and we'd just kind of continue on with what we were saying. This person was absolutely affected by just one member of the audience not giving them the rapt attention they feel that they deserve, right? Through this odd diatribe that they were spewing. So do things like this, just small things. If you have your phone or a computer in front of you, you should try to appear to be doing unrelated work or having an unrelated conversation. Again, without causing yourself any disciplinary issues if you're at work or something like that. So if you're at work and you're in a work meeting, other tactics are coming. You can use those instead. Look at your nails. Pick at something. Gaze out the window. Show no reaction whatsoever to what this person is saying. A dead stare will go absolutely miles with this person. This person will go bonkers if you give them a dead stare, just no inflection, no emotional reaction, just a dead stare. Nothing besides a dead stare. This will drive the person speaking nuts. I actually tried this tactic recently when I had to watch a narcissist speak. And this person actually went on about me, one audience member, and the way I looked at them and how it was making them uncomfortable. Now, clearly I caused this individual narcissistic injury by existing and looking at them. Not too shabby, in my opinion. Do what you're comfortable with, but kind of using these little tactics to force a narcissistic reaction or to force them to kind of fall out of their groove and to kind of get off of their game is absolute gold. So, if a sociopath stares you dead in the eyes, gives you that dead psychopathic stare, stare them dead in the eyes. Remove all emotion and all reaction from your face and your body. That means try to control your micro expressions too. If you think you can't do it, don't try this. But if you think you might be able to, feel free to try it. If you can, keep your face entirely relaxed. This will make them feel incredibly awkward. They will not know where to go next. They may even find an excuse to leave, which would not be a bad thing. Getting up abruptly in the middle of a conversation with a narcissist or a sociopath, or in the middle of one of their speeches to, I don't know, use the bathroom. Good time to use the bathroom, right? When they're speaking. When they're going on a long-winded rant without any visible reaction, will leave them wondering what the heck's going on, and it will anger them, and it may throw them into a meltdown, or at least, again, throw them off their game. Combining these tactics will definitely throw them into a meltdown. And the great thing about this is that if they have a meltdown, there's no way that they can blame you for it because you haven't done anything. They are just so overly analytic of your reactions that everything you do literally means the world to them, which is a very unhealthy way to be. It's an unhealthy locus of control. So, if you can, get up and use the washroom while they're talking. I don't think anyone's going to stop you from getting up to take a bathroom break. Don't be super loud or disrespectful about it. Just get up and use the washroom. If you feel like you could get in trouble and you're at work, obviously don't do this. But this is a really good way to insult them without doing anything and to kind of force a reaction with literally without doing anything wrong. Get up and use the bathroom. A deadpan response of like, cool story, with no visible reaction to whatever they're saying. Again, maybe not at a work meeting, but at any other sort of an interaction, like, oh, cool story, with no visible reaction, will shut them down. This goes for narcissists and sociopaths. It will leave them guessing at your motivations. They may even begin to think that you're more trouble than you're worth as a target when you do these things. Consistently telling the narcissist or sociopath, maybe, could be, or something like that, particularly if they're telling you something that they want to get a response from you about, is gold. So again, they could be saying something really nasty to you, and you could go, well, maybe, could be, yeah, that's possible, interesting, yeah, well, look at the time, yeah, I'm gonna head out now. Something like that is not a reaction they expect. They expect you to be emotional. They expect you to be upset. They expect you to engage with whatever the topic that they have set is. Doing this is a really great way to disrupt without being disrespectful yourself. So you can use the sort of snarky tactics that I mentioned previously, or you can go with the, yeah, could be, maybe, well, interesting. Yep, look at the time. Well, I better be off instead. If a more in-depth response might be required, saying something like, what an odd or different or interesting opinion or response that was. Maybe later we can discuss pertinent matters. We'll cut them off completely. So basically, you're being the mature adult, but you're also saying, what you're saying right now is not pertinent, it's not worth my time, and I'm headed out. That is, again, absolute gold when you're dealing with a narcissist or a sociopath. Be prepared to utilize tactics like this a lot. Whether or not the narcissist or sociopath knows you're using this tactic doesn't matter. This is equally about how the narcissist or sociopath views themselves. It's equally about how they respond to what you're saying, and it's about how the audience, the people around you, respond to what you're saying or what you're doing. And they will, if you consistently use these tactics to point it out, they will start to see the cracks in the veneer of the narcissist or sociopath. The narcissist or sociopath cannot stop you from not caring and not entertaining their BS. No matter what kind of crazy stuff they throw at you, even if they start attacking you personally, not physically, of course, show no response. You will show yourself to be a poor target and a poor springboard for their BS and their social climbing and their victim party, their, poor me, break out the tiny violin pity party. You're going to show yourself to be a really poor target for that and a poor audience for it. Consistently give the narcissist or sociopath no attention and no reaction when things like this happen. Another great sort of snarky tactic to use is to very covertly, without other people noticing, give them the sort of, flick on your face of, hey, something's on your face when they're up talking in front of people, or the hey, your fly's unzipped signal. Whether or not they actually try to zip their fly or try to look down and see if it's unzipped, you have shaken their confidence. Even small, silly things like this can absolutely shake them to the core, which is why I personally view people like this to be so ridiculous and so silly, So I think that some of these tactics are really fantastic, and it's certainly not something that's hard to do. A lot of these tactics are things that in the appropriate situation will do nothing to get you in trouble or to have the spotlight be thrown on you, but you can actually really throw them off their game. Narcissists and even sociopaths like talking in front of people. They like holding court in meetings and things like that, and in social gatherings. And if they're not holding court, you can always do the hey, something's on your face flick, or the hey, you've got a booger in your nose flick, or the check your fly, symbol, and drive them nuts. Because even if they're not the one talking, they still pay an inordinate amount of attention to what everybody's doing, what everybody's thinking, and how everybody's responding to them, because everything's about them. So these are really good sort of tactics to use. I think that when you are genuinely being attacked, when you're being outright, personally attacked by a narcissist or a sociopath, a really great way to spin it, if a response is appropriate at the time, is, for instance, let's say you're at a work meeting and the narcissist or sociopath in question starts questioning, the work ethic of people at your company, and maybe they're making allusions to you, or maybe they're outright saying, hey, you're not pulling your weight. So a good thing to do would be, when it's your turn to speak, of course, to stand up and say, what an interesting thing it is that you're using this company time to focus on. I'm really glad to see that you've got this amount of passion and interest in improving the company. And look, we're facing a couple of projects here that are coming due, or we're facing a couple of problems or issues or what have you. It would be okay to bring those things up. Don't get into the specifics. Just, hey, we're facing these issues at this time. Gosh, wouldn't it be nice if you could turn that attention and that passion to solving these important problems and these issues that are really salient and really pertinent at this time? Gosh, I sure am looking forward to the time when you're able to do that. When you're feeling a little bit more yourself, now this is where you can call their sanity and their wellness into question. You can say something like, when you're feeling a little bit more yourself, when you're feeling a little bit better, when you're a little bit less stressed, when you're a little bit upset, or less upset, when you've grown into your role a little bit, I'd be happy to sit down and have a respectful dialogue with you about this issue so that we can work together on solving it. This will shut them up completely. They will have nowhere to go on this, and it will eat at them like nobody's business. So, again, when you're being attacked, when insults and accusations are being hurled your way, even when veiled threats and accusations are being hurled your way or toward other people that you feel aren't deserving of them, don't deserve having those insults, those accusations, those those aspersions being cast upon them, it's okay to stand up and say things like that. Of course, again, being respectful of when it's your turn to speak and obviously taking advantage of that. Now, when you say things like that, you can't, be saying it in a joking way. You can't be angry. You can't be emotional at all. You've just got to stand up and say, gosh, it certainly seems like you're expending quite a lot of energy on this topic. Wouldn't it be great if we could turn that high level of energy toward something, and that high level of focus towards something productive, like, and then list some of the things that need to be done at your company. And then you can say something to kind of drive your point home, like, I sure am looking forward to the day when that happens. I'm so glad that you've exhibited such a capacity for passion about our company or toward our company. And I sure am looking forward to the day when you turn that passion and that intense focus toward the issues at hand that are facing our company. When you are feeling a bit more yourself, like I said, when you've grown into your role a bit, that's always a good one to use. When you're feeling a little bit less upset about this and a little bit more stable, I'd sure be glad to have a respectful dialogue with you about this so that we can all work toward solving these issues and work toward the good of our company. I'll be here when you're ready to do that. And that is all you need to say. Again, that will shut them down. That will show you to be the person who is mature. That will show you to be the person who is focused on doing what needs to be done and getting down to brass tacks. That will show you to be the person who is mature. And it will show you to be the person who doesn't sit around focusing on insignificant details while, Rome burns, basically. It will show you to be the person who is logical, who is willing to work together with other people, even if you don't get along, and who, like I said, wants to get down to brass tacks and solve the problems at hand. So, like I mentioned before, dealing with a narcissist, a sociopath, or another toxic or disordered individual is very similar to dealing with a child or a toddler. Being very dispassionate, showing no emotion, yet being positive and upbeat is the way to go. And you never want to focus on any attacks they make against you. Like I said, if this person is at a work meeting and starts making accusations about you, you don't even address those. You don't say, I came in on time, and I don't know why you're saying I didn't, or, I finished that project, and, you don't need to do that. Don't hem and haw, don't defend yourself, rise above it, don't be emotional, don't even address it. Address the fact that they are focusing on a detail that doesn't need to be focused on work time during a work meeting. That's what you need to do. Unfortunately, you can't just come out and say, hey, asshole, or hey, jerk. You're focusing on an issue that's draining energy and time from all of us. You can't say that, because then you come across as somebody who is trying to bully or trying to get a negative reaction out of somebody. You come across as somebody who's negative, as somebody who's emotional. You don't need to do that. You need to be positive, upbeat, non-emotional, and you need to drive a point home without making any accusations against the person. So that is the most important thing you can keep in mind when dealing with a toxic individual, a disordered individual, a narcissist, or a sociopath. Never answer their attacks. And also, don't call them out personally on anything. I've worked with some narcissists and sociopaths who've done some really heinous things. Calling them out on it is only going to backfire on you. calling them out on it is only going to backfire on you. The attention will then be turned to what you may or may not have done in your past, or what you may or may not have said to so-and-so last year, or what have you. You don't want that. What you need to address is not the person, but the issues at hand. You need to address, without coming at them personally, you need to address important details, important issues, the things that you should be focusing on during this meeting, the things that you should be talking about, the things that need attention. And, if you really want to come out on the attack, I think the most negative thing you can do, the most negative way to go, let's say somebody brings up, your phone usage at work, when really there's a major problem that needs to be addressed, and they just want to distract with a straw man by, bringing up how you were once on the phone when you took a bathroom break or something. You can say, I think the most negative way you can go and still be productive is to say, gosh, that seems like a really interesting straw man tactic that you're using right now, and I can see why you wouldn't want light shed on this subject, since it does bring your work record into question. However, I am looking forward to you turning that passion and that intense focus that you just showed toward me and my phone usage during bathroom breaks towards solving some of the problems at hand that are facing this company, and toward moving this company in the right direction. When you're ready to do that, and when you're feeling a little bit less agitated, and when you've grown into your role a little bit, I'd be really happy to sit down with you and some others, because you don't want to just sit down with them personally. I'd be happy to sit down with you and others and to have a respectful discourse and a respectful dialogue about getting this company back on track. I'll be waiting for you to let me know when you're ready for that, right? Boom, there you go. But that's about as negative as you can go. The best way to handle somebody like this, like a sociopath or a narcissist, is to neg them. I don't like negging. It feels crappy. It feels negative. It's not a great way to be. But as a tactic with this personality type, it works. So, like we just discussed, saying something like, gosh, I'm really very happy to see that you have this amount of passion and focus to turn toward salient points and important issues affecting the future of our company. Gosh, I'm really happy to see that you have this amount of passion and focus, I'm so happy to see that you've got this. Now, when you're ready to turn this passion and this focus toward important details that actually have to do with this major issue that's facing our company, I'll be ready and waiting to assist you in so doing. So being really positive, but yet kind of throwing that little shiv in of, hey, dude, you're focusing on nonsense issues right now to distract, and you're throwing all of your energy at it, and you're trying to get us to do the same. You're basically saying that, and you are dissing them, but you're doing it in a really positive way. So I think negging is really important when it comes to something like this. Taking an opportunity to say in front of the board, gosh, you really have a lot of focus to lend toward the company for somebody who's so new and is just starting to settle into their role. Boom, you just hit them. They're new, they're off their game. This is not somebody who's qualified for the position. They're taking their energy and their focus. They're letting it get the best of them and make them go totally off course and pull them out of the stratosphere of what's acceptable, and they're going totally nutso on some minor issue. So you're basically telling the board or telling the coworkers around you, like I said, this person is not qualified. Clearly they're not fitting into their new role at work, and they have just gone off into the stratosphere on some other point, on some unrelated, goofy, bizarre tangent. And they're using all of our energy and all of our focus as well as their own to do it. So you didn't come out and say it in a negative way like I just did there. You said it in a positive way. One more time to reframe. We're going to say, for instance, when they focus on how we once used our phone to text somebody when we were on a bathroom break or something, and they bring this up at a meeting, because of course they will, because they're trying to distract from the issues at hand. They don't want to be blamed for anything that's actually wrong with the company. And so of course they're going to do this. They are like children. They are disordered individuals who don't function like adults. So again, just retreading the same ground so that we're on the same page. You might, at the appropriate time, not interrupting them, you might stand up and say, I see that you have a lot of focus and a lot of intensity that is being directed toward this issue. Maybe when you are ready to settle into your role a bit more and when you're feeling a bit more stable and a bit more down to earth, we can look forward to you using that energy and that focus to solve the problems facing the company or to move our company forward on a better path or in a better direction. And we'll all be waiting here patiently for whenever that time may be, so that when you're ready to discuss this and when you're ready to get down to brass tacks, maybe you can meet with us and we will all work together. So you're being really positive, but you called the person out. You called them out on showboating. You called them out on not being qualified. You called them out on focusing on insignificant issues. You called them out on hot dogging. You called them out on trying to distract and cast aspersions on people simply to engage in straw man tactic usage. You called them out on basically being unstable. You called them out on not being team players. I mean, my goodness, you just called them out on a whole laundry list of things without having to say even the first negative thing. So this is how you deal with these folks. I really hope that this has helped. I know that there are many of you out there who are struggling with having to work with people like this, with having to relate to people like this in many areas of your life. So I hope this has helped. Please feel free to add to the chat or to discuss this. And if you would like to schedule a consultation or an appointment with me, I am here at your disposal anytime you need. You're not alone. I've got your back. And so do many of us out there who have been through the same thing. So keep it together. You will absolutely be golden if you use these tactics. Figure out what ones work better for you and what ones may not be the ticket for you, right? And in any given situation, feel free to authoritatively stand up for yourself at the appropriate time and to authoritatively call them to task. I really hope this helps you guys. Be well and be confident that you're able to weather the storm when dealing with folks like these, okay? I'll be back with you later. Bye-bye now.